All right, this month has been dedicated to the subject of energy, sound, vibration, which is making a tremendous important appearance in the collective consciousness. I was telling the class today that when we started Home Energetics and started working with energy and vibration and sound and tuning forks 20 years ago, and it's almost our 20th anniversary right now is when we started Soma Energetics, that we were kind of the only kid on the block, that we were really new to this, and we were number one because there wasn't much else to compete with us at that time. But now we have sown our seed all over the world with this teaching, and others have taken it and run with it. And I told them that's a bittersweet experience for us, because it was easier when we were the only kid on the block and we were not competitive. But now China, India, people all around the world have taken a lot of our teachings and has made their own thing, which is a good thing when you think about how that a seed brings forth much fruit after its own kind. And that's really should be our higher intention, is to make sure that this information is extended out into the world and the collective consciousness, which it has done, which is forcing us to evolve it and to reinvent it and to bring it into a more present experience based upon where we are in technology, where we are in consciousness. And in 20 years has been a very quick and fast work done, as you well know. Think back 20 years ago where you were, and think about where the world was 20 years ago, and it seems like a completely different lifetime or two back as to what we have done in this sense of accelerating our growth. So it is always good to stop, even here at this center, even though this building and this work here is over 30 some years old, here we are in this year reinventing, remodeling, and bringing it up to today. And that's not a bad thing, that's a good thing. So we have to be appreciative of all of those that we are following, who has also made steps for us to get to where we are today. And because of those steps, and some of them was challenging, but at the same time, they really made us step up and move to the next level. Financially, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, with the appearance of the property and the place, has all moved us to evolve to be what HeartLight is today. And that journey is not over as we continue to be open to this great wave, this great pattern, this great pulse that is moving us. We want to ride the wave, don't we? And move into whatever spirit is attempting to bring us into. So energy has been the subject, and so I want to talk and recap a little bit so that we can not just have a series of 4 messages this month, but that we can actually do something about it and have something that will change our lives and empower us from this series of teachings. So I hope that you will stay around. Now, can go either way. I believe in a democracy here. I don't believe I'm a dictator, and I am more than willing to do what is best for you, to either move right into the workshop and do this, or if you want to take 30 minutes or 45 minutes and come back, that's fine with me too. So kind of just give me a show of hands about staying and just moving right into the workshop. The rest of you'd like to have a little time between and come back in about 45 minutes? Sorry, Tom. We'll move into it. And I hope that you will do your best to stay around and be part of the experiential aspect of this teaching and do that. I want to say quickly that Tom gave me an interesting book a while ago because of this fact that I do believe that the collective enlightened Christ that we've all found to be living in us, and not in one man called Jesus, but that we was beautifully able to share that wonderful Christ of God that is in each and every one of us, that has come to this place to know that, have entered into a different dimension in which, where this has been given to us, there is a new requirement based upon this. Where much is given, much is required, it says. So there's a requirement to us. But it says that the Son of Man must descend before ascend. And everybody wants to do the ascending work. Everybody's looking to ascend out of here. And I do too. And that's why I could talk about fifth dimension and all of that. But the thing about it, see if I can make this clear to you, is because I believe that we're living in a completion of a cycle of birth and death. I think we've had cycles of birth and death, birth and death, birth and death. And if you believe in one of those, that's fine too. If you believe in 1,000 of those, that's fine too. We're not going to sit here and debate the fact how many times we've been back and how many lives we've lived, because whatever it is, 1 or 1,000, we are the sum total of that experience. And we carry that in the Akashic records of our soul, those experiences, whatever they are. We are the result of that story, that path. Every feeling, every emotion, every thought, every experience, good or bad, positive or negative, is all genetically or energetically, I should say, stored within us right now. So before we become truly able to ascend, we have to become what I call initiates. You have to become an initiate. You go to the wisdom schools of Egypt and some of the other great teachings of ancient wisdom, you will see that people became initiates. And in Egypt, for instance, I'll give you an example, that one of the things they did is they had these chambers in the tabernacle where people would go and lay on crystal quartz tables. And they would vibrate, and the frequency would be what would change their vibratory patterns based upon those chambers and the sound and the vibration of the quartz crystal that they would lay on. And that was wonderful. And they wanted to get off that table and move right into the next dimension in which they were going. But what was waiting for them was a particular aspect of the process. And that process wasn't quite as pleasant as laying on those tables and feeling the vibration and the sound, because what they had to do now is had to make sure they brought no fear over with them into the next level. Therefore, they had to go through a testing time. And that testing time would be something like this. It'd be standing before the dark, deep waters, and they had to dive into the waters. And if they had no fear, their intuition would guide them through the maze under the water, and they would come out the other side as an initiate. But people who had fear would either come back and have to process more, or they would drown and not make it to the other side. And I feel we're kind of in that place right now where we are truly being tested. You know, I do look to Jesus as my pattern sometimes. And before he moved into the real power of his ministry, before he did any healings or anything, he was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tested by the devil. Now we know the devil to be not that which is out there, but in here. Right? It's our own carnal mind, ego mind, whatever you choose to call it. It is that part of us that as we try to grow spiritually accuses us of some of this stuff being foolish, doesn't work, what are you doing, can't see it. Five senses says that therefore it does not exist. You know, we dealt with that in so many takes. When I started working with tuning forks off the body and working in the etheric blueprint of the physical body, it was hard for people because everything in their brain told them there's nothing there. You're just kind of using those tuning forks in empty air. There's nothing out there. And it's taken a long time to get people to really feel the aura and feel the energy field and to really come to a conclusion that we do have this etheric body that's about 2, 3, 4 inches before the physical body, not after, but before the physical body that's becoming our physical bodies. So energy work is a work of faith. It is a different way that we have to see, we have to feel, we have to touch. All of the senses that were 5 senses of the physical has counterparts in the spiritual, right? Even the Bible says, you that have ears, hear. Oh, taste of the Lord and see, for the Lord is a sweet-smelling savor. Jesus said, who touched me? When everybody was touching his body, there was a woman way over here that had an issue of blood, but that's the one who touched him who did not physically touch him. So there are senses within us that's waking up that are the counterparts of our physical senses, which our divine senses is waking up in us. So that means we're going to start seeing more spiritually, listening more spiritually, and even all of the experience is going to come from a different spiritual senses in us that's going to take us beyond the world of illusion and the world of appearance. So that's a little, I don't know what that was about, but you got me going there on this chakra thing, and I thought it was tremendously important. So what I'm saying to you, that we must do the shadow work now. If you want to make it into the next evolutionary leap of bio-consciousness, and I put that word together. Bio means physical, biological, physical, as well as consciousness. So this time we're not just evolving the consciousness and leaving the body back, but we're bringing the body with us. We're bringing the body into a higher dimension and frequency, out of third dimension into a fifth dimensional physiology. Now that blueprint for that new body is in you right now. Right now. It's not something you have to get. It's something you have to activate. It's something you have to activate. And that's why there are people out there who are facilitators, who do spiritual healing and energy work that is there to assist you in awakening that aspect of yourself that is the divine God DNA in you. The God DNA has this blueprint for a new light body. How many have heard the Merkaba? The light body is called the Merkaba. And Jesus experienced it on that high mountain of transfiguration when he took love and faith and hope, James, John, and the other one, Peter, with him. He had this experience of that inner. He knew that the Christ dwelt in him, but that which dwelt in him outweighed him and swallowed up the physical. He wore his Christ light on the outside as a garment. And this is exactly what I have a vision for as I see the new fifth dimension human emerging and being birthed in the earth today. For instance, where there is blood in your third dimension body is only congealed light. When light is caught into this slowed down frequency of the biological physical, it becomes like steam that is frozen to become ice. That's all your body is. Your body is high energy frequency, slowed down so slow that it has become the density of your human body. Right? So as the light of the body is caught and congealed, it becomes blood. What did it say Jesus did? Shed his blood. Now, I'm not talking about that, your old Christian dogma thing. I'm talking about the fact, one, he shed his bloodline. Jesus was of a bloodline. Well, I'm going on this. But, the whole image of Jesus is that he's born of a virgin and he's born into this poor, lowly family. Oh, no room in the inn. He's born with the animals, which is powerful, if you think about that symbolically, archetypally, that the animals is our old human animal natures. He's evolved into that to raise it. You should get that. To raise it. And then Joseph then was some little poor carpenter. Jesus was kind of a carpenter. That's ridiculous. If you look up the word carpenter, it's an interesting word. I can't get the word right now in the language, but it is the word for crafts or craftsmen. They weren't carpenters, they were craftsmen. They were people who had learned the secrets of the schools of wisdom. They understood it. They went to Egypt. They went to North India. They went to all of the places in which there was ancient wisdom that was being protected by those who were protecting it from what was happening in the world, and that was the organizing of religion. So they held it back from from people and only gave it to them who were going to become an initiate. An initiate. And that's why some of this has been hidden for a time. That is now emerging because religion had to get weak enough so that it can't help and hold its complete control over the wisdom any longer. And now the weaker the religion is getting, and people are outgrowing religiosity for spirituality, which is tipping the scale completely, wisdom is showing up more and more, for it no longer has to be hidden in the archives and in the places in which it's been hidden, but most of all, no longer hidden in you. No longer will it remain in the deep, deep waters of your soul, hidden from your ego mind that wants to control it and make it into some kind of a doctrine or tradition that inserts its agenda of separation in it. So the more that your ego is being weakened to this point, now wisdom is waking up in you and ready to start speaking in you, through you, and as you to the world. At Some Energetics, I tell you, you're not here. We're not here just to be another church so you can come on Sunday and get your little fix. God's not your drug. I said God's not your drug. And then you leave here and all week long, the drug wears off and you come back to yourself and then you want prayer. We should be entering a place you don't even need prayer. Now, until you do, you need prayer. And Connie's done a great job and wonderful job that's been taken over by Kathy. And I appreciate it, the way they're doing it. They're doing it absolutely right. That prayer is an affirmation. It's not praying for something, but it's praying. It's not praying for healing, it's praying healing. Somebody hear me. It's not praying for healing, it's praying healing, because we know we're created whole in this moment. Oh, come on. Somebody help me here. I'm jazzed up a little bit. I'm just a little jazzed up today. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Thank you. And it's coming awake in you. And what it's doing, it's shaking your world. And it's supposed to be shaking your world. It's supposed to be shaking old patterns that you've become familiar with. And it's moving you from a state of hope into a state of glory. It's not Christ in you, the hope of glory. It's the glory of that hope that you had awakening in you. The very glory and plan and purpose of God, the plan of the ages, is coming awake in you. God spake once, Job says, and God spake twice, but man perceiveth it not. God spoke to a nation, Israel, in the old covenant, and they did not get it. And the law fell short of the glory of God. Then the church was born on the day of Pentecost. And for 2,000 years we've had the church age. And God spake through the church twice, but man perceiveth not. But as man lays upon his bed in the night time, in the night season, in the dark season, God says, arise and shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of God is here. And I'm telling you, you may be laying in the darkness of going through some kind of physical illness or disease or diagnosis. You may be going through a time in which relationships or marriages are in trouble. You may be going through a time when your family's a mess and giving you all kinds of trouble, kids and all. But I'm telling you, this is when God's going to show up and your angels are going to come up and say, arise out of this bed, for I did not create you horizontal, I created you upright and vertical. Stand up and see the glory of God in the earth today. Somebody help me out. Hallelujah. We got to get energized here, folks. We got to draw on this new energy that's coming in. It's going to change everything for us. So I said all that. The message today is put the axe at the root of the tree. This is a message that Jesus gave in Matthew, I think it is 10 or 11, 3, and he said, put the axe to the root of the tree. So we've talked this weekend, real quickly, I'll go through this. We've talked about these cords that we have made between us and certain people, places, and things. And the cords and how you find them is what it is that dominates and comes up in your thinking over and over and over again. Even if it happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago, if it happened in the first chakra, which would be a lot of people who have come to me, and I know many other people out there who have had some kind of trauma between the ages of birth and 7 years old. Some people have been abused physically, sexually, emotionally, is all there. And when you keep thinking about that, and you keep feeling bad and guilty about that, and you keep thinking, that's scarred me. That has made a difference in my life. I can't have good relationships now. If that kind of thing is still there, that means that you have attached energetically to that experience. Now, the truth is, the experience is probably not happening to you, but it happened to you back somewhere. But it is registered as a memory in your brain. And what you've got to realize that every one of you is coming in with enough energy for you to fulfill your full assignment in a lifetime. In other words, energy is currency. Energy is currency. So in Soul Energetics, when somebody comes to me the first time, as some of you have, the first thing that I use as my analogy is money. That if a person sat down and wrote me a $10,000 check, which you can do if you want, but if you don't have it in the bank, it's going to be stamped insufficient fund. Right. But if something changes, and you get an inheritance, or you win this lottery, something somehow, a lot of money comes along and you have it in that account, and you write a check, it goes through. And this is the thing. Human beings have basically, if they have a legacy, if we did not make it any farther in evolution than we have as Homo sapiens, and that was the end of us, the legacy would be we are survivors of famine, pestilence, disease, wars, etc. We have done well to adapt ourselves. We have done well to pass our genes and ourselves through our DNA to our children and to their children and so on and so forth. But you know, I believe with all my heart Jesus was the personification of another dimension of a different human coming in than the humans that lived at the time he was here. We talked about that today. Jesus was not a human. I'm stepping down again. Jesus was not a hewed down, paler version of what God created. Jesus went through a process so important to you that they edited out of your Bible from the ages of 12 to 30. Because that's when he dehumanized himself and took the hue out. What am I talking about quickly? I'll give you this little lesson. I remember in school, we would take the primary color, red or whatever, in its brilliance. Then we'd add water to it, and I'd get a paler shade of the red. The more water I put to it, the more mixture, it got paler and paler and paler until we hued the color down. There's hues of color. Huh? So what man ended up falling into was a lower vibration that hewed him down from what God had created. Whew. Are you with me? And it's between what we became and what God created that left this gap that the ego has used to set up its idols and illusions. That must come down. They must come down. And that is the process that we have to do in which to do that. So the humans looking at Jesus who looked like them, who had every attribute that he did, said this, "What manner of a man is this?" You got people saying that about you. Maybe not to your face. Your family's probably saying, "Who are you?
What's wrong?
What? You're not like your sister, your brother. You know, we were born Baptists and we've always been Baptists and And what are you into? You go where? HeartLight? What kind of a place is that? What denomination? No denomination. No denomination? What they're saying is, what manner of man is this? What manner of man is this? Because some of you have been in enough workshops and enough work, energy work, that you are taking more of the paler hue out, and you're coming back up into a frequency that's going to match the frequency of a creator that created you. Father, make them one. Father, make them one even as we are one. But we've got to do the work. We've got to do the work, the shadow work. So I talked about these chords quickly. One, you can't stop thinking about a person. Imaginary arguments. Someone hurt you years ago and you're still arguing with them. How could you, Dad, do that? How could you abandon me? How did you abandon Mom and I? All these kind of things is a continuous cycle and loop that goes over and over in us. That is meaning you're financing something that happened to you as a child that isn't happening today. You have to realize that energy is a currency, then you need to find an energy broker. And that's what I taught yesterday to our people. We had a 10-hour yearly Some Energetic share with people all over the United States yesterday for 10 hours. And I taught this to them. I said, I want you to become more than a facilitator. I want you to become more than a spiritual healer. I want you to learn to be an energy broker and teach people how to reinvest in what they want to finance in their life that's going to bring them manifestation. Because people, some of you here may be sitting here with a dream. Maybe you have a dream that you want a healing center, or maybe you want a good healing practice, or maybe you want to quit a job you hate going to every day. I had a young lady from Dayton, Ohio yesterday that I did a tuning from, and she was here. She comes from Dayton to Charlotte, and I do tunings on her. She said, the last tuning gave me enough energy that I started putting back a little money because I don't want to work in the medical system any longer. I want to do what God has called me to do and heal and help people. And I, after that tuning, went home and quit my job. I went, whoa. She says, but it's working for me. Things are happening. People are coming. Things are showing up. I'm getting busy, and I'm starting to do what it is I was born and created to be and do. And I said, hallelujah to that, because we all need to be doing that. Don't put your energy in some job in which there is somebody at the top, some CEO that's getting millions and millions of bonus money, and you're on some kind of a $10 an hour wage. Come on, I'm serious about this now. We got to create a whole new experience. We got to create this prosperity. It's not going to drop down in your lap out of nowhere. It's going to happen by the fact that you're going to, one, learn how to unplug from everything that you're financing that's not bringing you the extra energy beyond survival for you to co-create in your life. So you have to decide, I'm not going to finance that thought any longer, that I'm not enough, that I'm not smart enough, that I'm not good enough. I mean, this brings in a lot of gender attachments. Women are this, women are that, men are that, racial attachments. Because this race is that, and this race can't do this, and this race do that. All those things have to go. You got to cut the cord, cut the cord, cut the cord. That's what we're going to do later when we get to it. But here's the thing that I got. You can cut the cord, but you got to get the root. There you go. I'm not a gardener, but you that are know, you go out there and just kind of cut the weeds. The weed's going to come back, and it's going to come back even stronger because it's going to go to survive. I got to get stronger. But if you go down there and dig the root out of it, come on, put the axe at the root of the tree. And in that space is a place where a new seed can be born. Are you financing memories that don't bring you joy? Do you need to unplug from something or someone? Now, there's good cords. when two people are in love, the trouble with most people is they don't experience being in love, they fall in love. And they fall out of the heart into the sacral. Huh? And love becomes something physical, sexual, becomes an addiction, all kinds of things that people plug into. And then when it comes to a point you've outgrown it, you can't get away because you've got this soul tie with this person who you've given your soul to at the time of intimacy. When you reach the frequency of the orgasm, the souls mix with each other and you give that person your soul. This is why you've got to be conscious about who you open yourself up to and who you experience, because there is an intermingling and a cord created between you. I've seen it too many times. People in abusive marriages and relationships that can't get out, even though they know they need to be out. And they know that's abusive, but they are so connected in. And yet, here's the crazy thing that they tell me, when we have a big fight and he's beat me up, we have the best sex. Yes, I'm going there. Yep. Somebody needs to go there. I'm going there. I've just seen it too many times. I had a cousin that way. I said, and I couldn't figure it out as a young man. Why do you let him do that? But she said, the sex is so good. The makeup sex is so good. Because it wasn't a heart to heart. It was a heart to the sexual sacral that was connected. And now a cord was between them. If they'd have known about this, it could break that cord. And they could have moved on. And they didn't. They stayed in that until she died. She died. And, but this could be an idea, it can be a thought, it can be a place. I have to watch that. I have to watch thinking about, oh, when I lived in so-and-so, I was only 32. Man, life was better. Really wasn't. That's the first lie the ego will give you, that it was better. At the time, it wasn't at all. You know? But that's what we do. We edit out the memories. I could go on and on about this. These, for you that are new and was not here this month, and you that were, all of this is going to be on the website of HeartLight. All of these messages on cutting cords. You do not want to have thoughts, feelings, or emotions that drain you. You do not want to have situations in which you cannot find a way to have forgiveness. But forgiveness is a good way to loose. And that's what the word forgive means in the Aramaic, to let go, loosen, untie, undo. And I could go on, and I will in the workshop. Two things I will close with are out of the Bible, and that's Proverbs 13 and 20. He who walks with a wise man shall be wise. Huh? Frequency match. If you've been around wise people, you'll get wise. But a companion of fools shall suffer harm. You need to untie from the fools in your life. Proverbs 22 says, make no friendship with a wrathful man, and with a man given to anger you shall not let go, lest you learn his ways and find a stumbling block to your soul. What's this saying? Your environment that you're attached to is what you're feeding. So when you're feeding people in your life that are energetic vampires, who are feeding off your energy, and you allow it, they are taking from you energy that you could be using and reinvesting in a way that could bring you forth into a co-creative manifestation dimension. So we've come to that place, yes, that we have to become conscious about where we are plugging our energy into, where we are investing ourselves. That means that some of you are going to have to learn the word no. I know it's late. There's so much I could say. But let me give you an example. I learned that so much women's breast cancer mostly shows that women that are plugged into pleasing everybody else and do not take time to nurture themselves, that when you use energy beyond the survival, you start stealing from the energy of the autonomic system to keep you alive, which digs into the the tissue that make up the breast are the nurturing part of the woman. Now, if we can go back and understand it from these energetic patterns, we can change the outcome. But no, we go and we think somebody can cut something out, somebody can do this, but they're not putting the axe at the root of the tree. And I know this is hard because I don't want to think, what did I do? I didn't do anything. I'm the poor victim here. This is something that just happened. Don't accept it. Don't accept that. Yes, I've had lung cancer. Yeah, I've had some heart issues. And I have to look at that hard, at what was going on in my life and what was I financing that was taking energy out of my cell tissue that had to do with my lung and had to do with my heart. So much I could say about that.
And you will.
And I will, in time. So today I've been given, just this weekend, a way in which that we can cut these cords, remove the roots, and let's do it and move on. And I'll tell you where it needs to be started is right here. We've got to unplug from any past issues that went on here that were not pleasant, that was hurtful, that caused people to not show up any longer because they were hurt, because of things that have gone on in the past. Well, not with judgment, but the fact that we cannot continue to grow in this community and in this location until we sever the cords with past issues and that we can start fresh and new and rebuild from here. We can't keep financing what happened. So I really don't want to hear it anymore. What another minister that was here before me and what they did and what they didn't do. We have to get rid of that because every time we talk about it, we're financing it. Come on, somebody help me. We're financing it. Let's let it go. Let's forgive. If somebody did you wrong, forgive them. Let it go. And cut that cord and take all that energy from where that root was and let the divine angels of light bring in the light and energy of a new day for you and for us as a community of people.